All right. So, we're doing a short game here first. Let Them Eat Cake, made by The Incredible Ally, with art by Mel. Teddy is upset at something. Probably another dog. Anyway, this is, according to the site, this is about a half an hour game. So, we're going to start with this tonight. So I don't really know much about what it's about. I've seen some of the art and it looks great. So I'm really excited for this little story. So yeah, let us get in here. Well, my name is Michael. Ooh, I like this font. Ooh. Ooh, I like this. Thank you for playing this silly little game about making a cake and all the horrors that come with it. If anyone has ever made a cake, you know how terrifying it can be. A few trigger warnings for violence, implied murder, and implied animal cruelty. Please be advised. Bonjour, Michael. If you're reading this letter, you've gone to the bakery safe. Not that you wouldn't be. I had very sick. Oh my gosh, Matt. Over 100-degree fever? Ooh, you should be resting up. Holy cow. You think it's a piece of cake to make a pretty cake? I don't know. Baking a cake is stressful. I love doing it, but it's stressful because I'm always worried that it's not going to turn out. If you're reading this letter, you've gotten to the bakery safely. Not that you wouldn't be. I had full faith in you. There was nothing that would make it unsafe, nor am I suggesting anything as such. Anyway, welcome to Saint-Noir. I'm sorry I won't be able to greet you on arrival, but I'm sure I'll... It's more of an art than a science. I'm pretty sure baking is very specifically a science. It's chemistry. Basically alchemy. I'm sorry I won't be able to greet you on arrival, but I'm sure I'll catch you sometime before the day is out. You've come at a hectic time, so we'll have to get started right away. The Saving Day Festival is tomorrow. It is the biggest event in town, and I am running around getting the rest of the food ready. So I'd like you to be in charge of the cake. It doesn't have to be a fancy affair, just enough to feed the townspeople. I've left you a recipe with this letter, as well as a map for you to get around easily. Why a map? Funny story that, I've run out of ingredients making everything else. I'm leaving you a list of who you can pick up more from. Think of it as a way of getting to know your fellow townsfolk quickly, yeah? But don't stick your nose where it doesn't belong. You've got this, Michael. I have full faith in you. I'll catch you later. And again, welcome. I'm not good at speaking French. Stupid fly. Benoit? Ingredient list. You need to sacrifice your arm, leg, and brother to make a cake then. That might work. Sugar from your neighbor, milk and eggs from the farm, flour from the mill up the river. When you have milk, come to the bakery. We make our own butter. Okay. Well, let's start with sugar from your neighbor. A quaint house sits hidden behind a garden of wildflowers and plants, almost obscuring it entirely from view. It was the closest place, and yet you're surprised you missed it. Though looking once more at the garden, it was impossible to assume there was actual property, even livable property, on these grounds. A small one-level house that has a gate leading towards the back garden, which looks equally overflowing with life. Knock on the front door or go around the back. Well, we should knock on the front door. The door is red and looks like it's made of heavy wood. You lift a hand and knock on the door with thick thuds. You wait for a moment, but no one comes to the door. Well, we should be polite. You should knock louder. You knock again. This time, ever so slightly harder. Once again, there is no answer. At that point, I guess go around the back. A cacophony of color explodes from every which direction as the back of the garden is even further overgrown and full of life. Blues, reds, purples, and pinks painting across the garden in a flurry. As you approach the house, there's a slight rustle of the bushes. Some of the plants shiver. Well, we're here to get to the house, so... The door is much like the front door, heavy in weight and build. You knock on the door, and this time, without much weight, there is shuffling behind the door before it opens to an old lady with a kindly smile on her face. She's bundled up and hunched over. Odd. I'm sure this isn't the front door. Can I help you with anything? Oh, there's the lady. Yeah, what a weird game. Such a weird game. Very, very weird game. You explain the situation, how you ended up at the back door, and she smiled understandingly, looking slightly bashful. In this moment, you take the chance to introduce yourself as well. The garden is in such a state of disrepair, but it's so beautiful I could not help myself. I'm so sorry, Michael. Of course I can get you sugar. Would you like to come in? I mean, yeah, of course. The kitchen is cozy, soft but warm sunlight coming through a window with a stained glass floral scene that casts colors into other areas of the room. Wood of green hue make up the majority of the furniture, but it's all well worn. The elderly woman begins to rummage through the cabinet, squinting as peers through. Many of her containers look similar, but the labeling is large and relatively clear. Instead of sugar, she pulls out a large container labeled poison. Before she opens it, she finally seems to notice, quickly replaces the container with sugar, and pours you a small bowl. The weirdest game. I don't know, do you I should probably ask about the bowl of poison, right? The poison. The poison for Michael. You clearly saw the package of clearly labeled poison placed precariously next to the sugar and a plethora of other ingredients. Is it right to mention it? You can't not. She nearly gave it to you. Do you have a rat problem? It could be dangerous to keep that in the cupboard. The old lady turns to look at you. A small smile pulls tersely at her lips. Oh, I have a very large one recently, but he's been taken care of now. I keep this tucked away so my Elizabeth Louise doesn't get into it, though she never comes into the kitchen. You think back to the pictures in the other rooms. In the other room, that must be who Elizabeth Louise is. You hesitantly nod and take the sugar. Right. Thank you. She nods and begins to lead you to the door. If you happen to see my daughter, do let her know I'm looking for her. My name is Jean, by the way. Or Jean? I don't know words. I, Michael, don't know words or names. She's saving the poison for Cusco? Ah, yes, Cusco's poison. It'd be wise for you to get to know your neighbors. Exit out the back door. You find a beautiful backyard with an abundance of flowers and colors. Jean wouldn't mind if you looked around, but you also have a job to do. Lade sprawled out with a sense of serenity that comes with death is a woman. Her red hair a halo of fire around her. Around her are the remnants of art supplies, paint tubes and brushes, but no canvas in sight. The breeze knocks petals loose that fall into her hair, but the girl does not stir. In fact, you can't even tell if she's breathing. I mean, if we can't even tell if she's breathing, we should probably check on her. As you grow close, your figure looming enough to cast a shadow of her eyes. The figure starts to twitch and squirm, coming to life once more. She looks up at you with confusion, then surprise. Her eyes are a deep brown, richer than any chocolate croissant. Her wake was slow, but the following movements are quick as the woman shuffles away from you, the unexpected company startling her. Who are you? Do I introduce myself first, or do I actually just, check on her? Ooh. Introduce. My name is Michael, and I'm the baker's assistant. Your mother lent me some sugar for the festival cake. Her features fall. She's suddenly lost interest. She returns to listless lounging as she lays back, her eyes finding the sky as opposed to your figure. Right then, you probably know who I am then, and you got what you came here for. You were pretty not doing good there. Are you okay? I'm sorry if I spooked you. Her features fall. She's suddenly lost interest. She returns to listless lounge and she lays back, her eyes finding the sky as opposed to your figure. It looks as though she is waiting for the earth beneath her to open and swallow her whole. Do you ever feel like no matter what you do, it'll be futile? Oh, yes, all the time. Yes, be sympathetic. Every day, this moment, right now. Ah, perfect. The me in this game and the me in real life are on the same terms. All the time. Why else would I be a baker's apprentice in an unfamiliar town? I couldn't let this be futile as well. She smiles, the first since you'd met her here, and although that wasn't long, it felt as though a breath of fresh air had finally passed over you both. Her smile was radiant, so full of joy yet so serene, like something had finally found peace inside her. You get it. This place is a trap. It sucks you in, and when you're one of us, you can't leave. I've dreamed of it for years, but every time my mother would find some reason to make me stay back. Elizabeth Louise, I've fallen and need to see a doctor. Elizabeth Louise, what will I do without you? I've grown so old. Elizabeth Louise, you can't leave before the festival. What if you're the rain? Even when my fiancé and I were ready to leave town, he had to go and drop dead. Oh, that sucks. Well, first, I should give my condolences on that. I'm so sorry for your loss. How long has it been, if you don't mind my asking? Elizabeth Louise's face falls once more as this topic is brought up properly. As if a heavy weight was freshly placed on her shoulders, they curled forward. Tears threaten to fall as her body starts to slowly tremble. Her voice breaks as she speaks. It's been 6 weeks now. I've always suspected foul play, but I can't prove it. Fate has chosen my place, and it is here with my mother. She stands up. Her frame is a lot taller than you'd expect it to be. You have what you come for, right? You should be on your way. Mother tends to get weird when people linger. Well, so strange that he would just drop dead suddenly like that, almost as if he had been like poisoned or something. I'm sure not that though. Go back to the bakery. Nice, we got the sugar. Good us. Milk and eggs from the farm. The farm is run down, as you might begin. Maybe her husband was Cusco? No, I think it was I think it was Elizabeth's fiance was Cusco. And unfortunately there was no Kronk here to save him. The farm is run down, as you might begin to wonder that every part of this small hidden town is. It's hidden, tucked away so small that it doesn't register on any of the local maps you've seen, but the merchants seem to know where it is. People come and go. Business gets done, especially here. Making your way up to the large acreage, there are 2 distinct buildings. The barn house, a more quaint affair. It looks more like a shack, and the barn itself, as you've always known barns to be, big and red. You have no clue where the farmer could be. Well, call out. Aside from the barn, the only other building on the property is the shack of a farmhouse, a 1-story building that seems incredibly unassuming as the boards of the walls barely hold together and the thatch house needs some patching up. The doors and windows are open except for a small door that leads underground. This gives you a clear view inside to the small kitchen and bedroom that make up the living quarters. There's a single table full of awards and trophies, with bronze and gold pigs on top, but aside from that, whoever lives here survives on the bare minimum. Yes, this guy. I've heard about this. That is very concerning. Very concerning. Hello? Is anyone home? The hatch creaks open, and a man of scraggly and almost dirty appearance appears, wiping blood from his hands with a big smile. Despite his unkempt appearance, his smile seems kind. For a man with a farm, he himself is quite gaunt and poorly fed. Good day. Hello. A pleasure to meet you. Pardon my appearance. My butchering quarters are downstairs. How can I help you? Explain our circumstances. Good day. My name is Michael, and I'm the baker's new assistant. He sent me here for ingredients. The farmer smiles, and once he's done wiping his hands, he holds it out to you proudly. Welcome to town. I'm Pascal, the one-stop shop for animal goods. That's such a good name, though. That's such a good name. I'll shake his hand, his bloody hand. You know it was just on there, but you take his hand either way. He holds it tight, tight enough that you question whether or not it will break, and gives it a firm shake. That is a good handshake. You can tell a lot about someone by their hands. Now, how can I help you? Benoit sent me here to see if you had any milk and eggs. I'm making the cake. Before you finish, Pascal is already nodding and cutting you off. He places his hands on his hips and smiles. Of course. Would you like to come with me, or are you more than welcome to wait here if you prefer? I know the barn can be quite noxious. Ooh, do I wait here? Let's get a tour. Pascal is very excited to tell you all about his farm, but before you go, he dips inside and reappears with a straw hat on his head, and a second one for you. The sun is very strong today, and also the horses love to chew on hair. You put on the hat and follow him to the barn. He opens the door and ushers you inside with great excitement, like a kid showing off his toys. On his entrance, the animals began to kick up great noise, as if they too are equally excited to see him. The scraggly farmer beams with pride as he opens his arms out, as if this barn was the world and he was its king. Which animal would you like to see first? Well, we have Chess here, so we should go see the chickens. Pascal leads you to the chicken coop in the barn. Normally this would be its own building, but with the forest this close, I know the big ones will kick a fuss if anything predatory comes in. He leans into the coop with ease and lifts up a couple of the chickens, revealing that their nests are empty and that there is no eggs. With a groan and slight crack of his back, he stands up to his full stature again with an apologetic look on his face. Seems like I sold all the eggs, but I'm pretty sure I gave the priest up at the church a few extras, and I'm sure Father Hyacinth would be willing to give you some. Hyacinth? Hyacinth. I'll go with Hyacinth, since that's what first came naturally. Let's go see the cows. Let's go see the moo-moos. The cow pastures through a rickety stable door, which creaks as Pascal holds open for you. The cows are roaming around a smaller pasture and make their way over seeing Pascal. He breaks out into a smile and pats them all, calling each of them by name. I milked them this morning, but Mathilde is a new mother, so I could probably get some more out of her. Think it's Hyacinth? Probably. It is like the flower. Makes sense. I wish I knew words. He makes his way over to a larger brown cow who stands off to the edge with a gaunt-looking calf at her side, takes a bucket and a stool and places it under her. Feel free to pet them. They're quite friendly. We're going to pet the cows. Of course we're going to pet the cows. You reach out and pet one of the cows. It's fluffy and soft, and the docile cow watches you touch it. Pascal groans as he gets up, handing you the bucket of milk. Here you go. This should be more than enough for the cake. Okay, that's cool and all, but I don't think you can actually use fresh milk for the cake. You take the milk and look at the barn, and Pascal follows your eyes with a look of pride. My pride enjoy these animals. Did you want to keep looking around, or... Horses! There are 2 horses on this farm, a big workhorse and a smaller pony. Both begin to grunt and nicker as Pascal grabs a pail and dumps it in a water trough, leaving it on a nail for them to bend their necks down to drink. I can die in this game? Thank you for stopping in though, Allie. I really appreciate it. I'm enjoying it so far. Maybe have super cows that pasteurize as you milk them. That would be really freaking cool, and I'm sure that'll eventually be a thing. Or maybe the bucket. Maybe the bucket pasteurizes it. Normally I'd offer for you to pet them, but these 2 are biters. Henry here has taught the little ones bad habits. Okay, pigs it is. The bulk of the noise in the barn comes from the pigs. As you approach, There are pigs of all sizes, tiny little piglets to almost circular hogs that trudge their way around a pen inside the barn. Pascal approaches them and refills their water as he speaks. My pigs are my prizes. I've won contests all over the countryside with these beauties. He starts to ramble on about the pigs, but something in the trough catches your attention. A glint of the light hitting off something just barely sticking out of the food. Oh, let's check it out. You look over your shoulder to see where Pascal is, and for a moment he's gone. As you get closer, you aren't wrong. There is most certainly something inorganic reflecting the small streams of sunlight inside the slop. As much as pigs can eat, something like that will probably be unhealthy or harmful, especially if a piglet gets to it first. It'd be good to get a closer look, but how? I mean, we should just reach in. You look over your shoulder to see if Pascal is around. You shove your hand in, groaning slightly at the sensation as the cold, viscous sludge makes its way onto your hand as well. You feel the metal against your fingers and pull, realizing there's far more to it as you dislodge what is attached to and reel back with far more effort than necessary. In your hand sits another hand, without a body. Long, slender fingers and slight wear that reminds you of your mother's hands, and on one of the fingers a simple engraved metal ring. Of course the pigs are winning pigs. They eat incredibly well, worryingly well. Can't allow this to continue, can you? Maybe if you take the ring you can show it to someone, and this will get shut down. Or maybe you could mind your own business. Now let's take some evidence. You endeavor to take the ring in this moment. Grabbing the hand, you start to shimmy the ring off the finger, the putrid smell attacking your senses. You're going to do the right thing. You shouldn't be sticking your nose into matters that don't concern you, Michael. Thwack! Your head rings with the sensation of something large suddenly battering against it as the world around you goes dark. Last thing you feel is your body collapsing against the slightly itchy hay of the ground below you. Wake up. You wake up in a room you do not recognize, the faint sound of wailing and begging echoing around the room. You cannot move, your eyes staring only at the darkened ceiling ahead of you. Ah, shame you woke up. This would go a lot smoother if you hadn't. He appears above you, his kind smile gone. Instead he looks dark, a crazed fire lighting his eyes. As the glint of a knife catches your attention. There's good food for you. Oh, there's good food on you. You'll feed my piggies well. The knife swings down, a mercy as he goes for your neck. You've died. Ending 11 of 8. Congratulations, you've locked a bonus ending. Okay. Let's just try knocking on the door a couple of times. With the last knock, you press your ear to the door, hoping that somehow through the heavy wood you'll somehow hear inside. There is quiet, a stillness in the wind that causes you to lose hope. Would you really be going back empty-handed? Before you take a step back, slight shuffling comes from inside the home. It leaves you just enough time to take a step away as the door swings open. There, bundled up and hunched over, stands an old lady with a kindly smile on her face. Hello, I'm sorry, but I'm not interested in buying anything. Ask for sugar. If it's not too much trouble, could I ask you for some sugar? Since Benoit has run out and I need it for tomorrow's. She lights up and claps her hands together. So you'll be making the cake for the festival. How exciting! I'm so happy you can join us. Please come in, I'll get that right away. Inside house, a shrine to a younger woman, a tall, languid woman with strong features posed differently in every photograph picture. Pictures vary in age from a baby to a young woman. The woman who had opened the door was almost certainly past her 20s, and well past her 30s. While she does bear a slight resemblance to the woman in the pictures, any resemblance was long gone. If you'd like, you can wait for me here. Can I get anything aside from sugar? No, thank you. She nods and shuffles. I'll wait. The woman leaves and you're left alone for a moment. In the room there is a small settee, a cabinet full of pictures, a small bookshelf, and a fire that is unlit. You walk up to the cabinet, full of pictures of her daughter and a gentleman whose face is almost just slightly obscured. Sometimes the face is ripped out, sometimes it's cleverly hidden behind foliage or an item. In one picture it seems as though someone has painted his face out of the existence, leaving nothing but the background and a haunting effect. My daughter, beautiful, isn't she? You jump and turn around as she places the bowl of sugar in your hands. Has always had a penchant for the macabre, that one. Macabre. Now you've got so much to do and so little time, it's best you go on your way. Also, a word of kind advice. Get to know your neighbors properly. My name is Jean. Hi, Hex. Her smile is tight, tense, and leaves you no room to argue with. There's an unkindness in her eyes that causes the hairs on the back of your neck to stand at attention and shiver down your spine. Okay. So let's explore the farm. You approach the barn first. A farmer is most likely in their barn, no? The building grows bigger as you approach, even though it was quite large to begin with. It's not loud, but you can tell by the sound of shuffling hooves on ground and the grunts and grumbles of livestock that this is not an empty barn. Let's go to the farmhouse. Aside from the barn, the only other building on the property, yeah, we already read this one. Explain our circumstances, shake his hand, ask for milk and eggs, go on a tour, cows, pet the cow, take the milk, chickens, horses, pigs, check out the trough. We'll reach in with our hand, but this time we're going to get out what we can. You've seen more than enough about this farm and quickly make haste back to the bakery to drop off the jug before setting off to the next set of ingredients. Flour. You walk down the road towards the edge of town. The flowing river that the town sits on acts as your guide as you make your way to the mill. The strong sound of water flowing overpowers almost everything else around you. The crashing waves and the creaking of the mill leading you towards your direction. On your way up, you find a cart that struggles. Its wheel looks to be broken. It's stopped entirely, the horse that pulls it resting nearby as a young man stares confusedly at his problem. Well, we've got to be nice. Check on the cart. Instead of continuing on your way, you take a moment and approach the cart. The driver doesn't notice you as you come up along the side. Is everything all right? The driver looks over, a broad smile on their face. He's a young man, no more than his 30s, with heavy freckling and deep dimples. He wears a large brimmed hat to keep the sun out of his eyes. Yes, unfortunately, I've had a bit of a problem with one of my wheels, and no replacement. It's not much further to my destination, though. He bends down and hefts a bag onto his shoulder. It looks incredibly heavy, particularly by the way he waddles as he walks, but the bag slumps in a way similar to sand or flour. Well, we should offer to help. That looks heavy. Can I help with that? The driver's expression lightens, and he smiles, handing you the bag. Thank you. I still have one more to get, but if you can swing to the back door and knock with this code, they'll let you in. He demonstrates the code for you on one of the bags and rushes back to the cart to fill his arms once more. Let's follow his instructions. The path wraps around the stone building away from the river to the back side of the mill. The back is far messier than the perfectly presentable front. A broken cart, empty sacks, dried and dead grass, as if this was an entirely different building from the front. The door leading into the mill is slightly ajar. Ask for the miller. You walk with him to the door, and with the driver's nod, you poke your head into the mill. Inside, you see a stout, sturdy woman covered in flour, pouring bags of the sawdust into flour. She panics as she sees you. You aren't the usual. As the door opens, she freezes, seeing the driver. I see. Thank you. I'll send your payment when I'm in town tomorrow. The driver nods and heads back to the cart after thanking you a few times. Who are you? I'm going to be honest. I just moved into town as the new baker's assistant. He asked me to come and get some flour. I saw the driver needed a hand and offered to help. Mathilde pauses and reaches inside, grabbing a bag of flour. One of Benoit's. Always happy to supply. Here, on the house. She looks like she wants to get rid of you quickly. Her brow begins to sweat and her eyes shift around quickly. I'll check the bag. You inspect the outside of the bag and then the inside. You run the flour through your fingers and you let it fall a bit before you're satisfied. What are you doing? Just making sure that we have enough for the cake. You close the bag with a smile. A pleasure doing business with you. Eggs from the church. The long shadow cast by the pointy steeple guides you through the town to the church. Oh, 1 second. A beautiful, ostentatious temple of stone that stands out amongst the shacks and houses. The old stone gives room to new life as ivy and vines crawl up the structure, but the surface is flawless. No dust or dirt in sight. At the steeple, the church stands a cross, unlike any you'd ever seen before. The crossbar sits in a Y shape, both arms tilting upward to the sky, a mistake in the design surely, or perhaps emphatic display of praise. A small town like this couldn't afford to replace it. The heavy door swings open fairly easily, and you find the church is not only open, but well occupied. Off to the side, a long line of people stands waiting for a draped set of wooden boxes that seem connected. As someone exits one end of the box, they slip into the pews of the church while the line shuffles forward. Inquire about the line. You are more intrigued by the line of people waiting for their turn to enter the curtained box. A few stand together, chatting amongst themselves, and you make your way over. Excuse me, my apologies for interrupting, but I was wondering what's going on here. Why are you all lined up? Their friendly demeanor remains, but there's something off about their smiles, uncertain and scared. A man steps forward. His eyes glance toward the box before returning to you. Are you not from town? We're waiting for confession. Father Hyacinth holds confession every day for a time they see fit. Wow, that's a lot. I'm just here because the farmer said that he'd given some eggs to the priest, and I was hoping to take some to make a cake for the Saving Day festival. Everyone in the line begins to whisper. You look around. Your eyes lock with everyone else in line, with their eyes all finding themselves on you. I see. Well, you can wait in line or wait until it's done. The villager steels himself, and you look around, watching as everyone digs their heels into the ground to wait. Let's cut the line. You step out of line and make your way forward. You don't have time to play this game. You must return and make a cake. Hey, there's a line. Turning back, there's so many eyes on you, boring into your frame. They shift uneasily, a growing anger. Stand your ground. Oh boy. You need to meet the priest, and nothing will stop you, even as the villagers leave the line and approach you. We say get back in line. You turn to find yourself surrounded, fearing villagers turning into an angry mob. You move to run out, and your way is blocked. You turn to run to the confessional, only to find the priest, ethereal and standing there with knowing eyes and a small smile. You will be going to a better place, my child. A better place? They approach you slowly, as though your mind is not their own. Like corpses brought to life, they channel in your direction. You try to run, but quickly you are caught by some of the men who pin you down. You lay there, facing up at the ceiling of the church, the marble and stone staring back at you as you realize this is your end. The rest of the congregation makes their way forward, and one by one begin hitting you. It's slow and painful, but eventually one of the blows hits your head and you fade away. Good for me, ending 14 of 8. Cool. I got 2 secret endings. Go around back. Check out the noise. Lay it sprawl with a sense of serenity that comes with death as a woman. Oh, yep. Okay. Reach out for her. Check on her. What? Pardon? What exactly do you mean? One of her eyes open, peering over at you with an expression that you can't quite read. It flutters shut once more, her lips pursing into a frown. It doesn't feel angry. Not everything has to be something. Sometimes things can exist as this did. It's a moment of quiet contemplation before she props herself on her elbow to address you properly. You've chosen to come to this town. Why? Couldn't find anything in your own village? It's only temporary. I learn here, and then I go back home to start my own shop. You have plans. You know what you're going to call it, and exactly which location for your town you're going to put it in. You can hardly imagine the smell, the decor, locals who stop in to say hello. You're just about to let yourself get swept away when... Good luck with that. Excuse me? Was that sarcasm? What makes you say that? She sits up. Yeah, okay. What's your name, Michael? Then, yep. Even was ready to drop dead. It's about the rain. What is the rain? Surprise flashes over her face. It becomes obvious to her you don't know, and her expression is surprisingly easy to read for once. Right, of course you wouldn't know. The rain is a role given to one of the townspeople at the Saving Day Festival. A real honor. I shouldn't spoil it for you, though. It's one of those things you have to experience it for yourself. I was so excited to show my fiancé the festival this year. I cannot wait to be the rain myself. Sorry for your loss. Voice breaks within 6 weeks. Face no, with my mother stands up for intolerance, which is speaking, which let me fetch her for a follower. Okay, let herself in. The kitchen is cozy. Soft but warm sunlight coming through a window with a stained glass floral scene that casts colors into other. Yep. I fall in the kitchen. What's wrong, my dear? They want a bowl of sugar. The older woman begins to rummage through the cabinet. Yep. Poison. Ask about the poison. Exit the back door. We've ended up in a loop. That would require me to feel. I've never been good at that. The corners of her lips. Transforming disappointment and ire, she pushes her body up and stands up. Her frame is much larger. Yeah, brushes it up. Goes inside the house. Follow her. The loop still exists. Neat. Yeah, this is a neat loop. I like this. Someone here to see you. Let yourself in. I really like this. Ask about the poison. Okay, let's go out the front door. Milk and eggs from the farm. Explore the farm. Go to the farmhouse. That's right. That just kind of gets us here again. Ask for milk and eggs. Wait here. I'm showing slowly down, but I'll be sure to take you up another time. A polite rejection, but a rejection nonetheless. Pascal looks a little disappointed, but nods, sliding a straw hat onto his bald, reflective head as he passes you by. I'll be sure to make it quick then. Enter the farmhouse. I should really just focus on making this cake. It's a small room, so there isn't much to see. On a quick turnaround, you're pretty sure you've already seen what the place has to offer. There's a kitchen, a bed, a table of trophies. Thud. 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 As you stand for longer than a moment, though, the faint beatings of wood come from below. Probably. I mean, it's kind of like my head. Mostly hair on the side, getting very thinning or balding on the top. Stupid father genes and grandfather genes. As you stand for longer than a moment, though, the faint beams of wood come from below your feet. It goes again, this time just as loud as something rattles underneath the wood. You recall Pascal mentioned a butcher station somewhere on the property. Well, let's follow the noise. Pretend like it didn't happen. I started to see what's going on here. Following the sound coming from the ground, it leads you to the little hatch that Pascal said leads to his butcher station. Must be some sort of live animal in there that is trying to get out. As you open the door, though, you are not presented with livestock, but a woman who desperately looks at you. A chain wrapped around her ankle limits her movements as she rushes for the door. Please, please, please get me out of here. He'll kill me. Try to help. You open the door wider and begin to descend down the stairs. The woman continues to plead until her face changes to that of sheer terror. No! There's something behind you. You begin to turn around and catch the edge of Pascal's scrawny form as something cracks against your head. It all fades to black. Sweet! More bonus endings. Okay, let's actually focus on getting the things we need Front door, knock louder, knock louder. Introduce ourselves, ask for sugar, go inside, follow her, take the bowl, exit out the front, back to the list, milk and eggs. Call out, explain your circumstances, shake his hand, ask for milk and eggs, wait there, wait at the doorstep, take the milk, return to the bakery, flour, check on the cart, inquire about the goods. What are you transporting, if I might ask? The driver pauses for a moment, an uncertain look on his face as he looks back to the mill. Just some extra flour. They're bringing the mill flour? The place that makes it? He squirms them comfortably, walking up the road as quickly as he can with his heavy load. Let's call him out. You're bringing the miller flour? Oh, please, you can't be serious, can you? Seriously, what is it? You duck in front of the driver and stop him in his tracks. The parcel he carries is heavy, and as you block his attempts to evade you, the weight grows to be too much for him. He drops the bag. Fine, it's sawdust. Are you happy now? It's sawdust. I don't know what they use it for, but she offers to pay, and at a good price too, for waste. We'll offer to help him then. Go to the front door. You follow the path at the main road. The path to the back of the mill is not as well tread, and you are not the delivery boy. You make your way to the front door. On the door, a paper reads in scratchy writing, "Out for lunch, for deliveries go around back." You drop the bag at your feet. Not far behind, you follows the driver of the cart, who sees you abandon the bag at your feet. His face contorts slightly, but you have gone far enough. He disappears behind the back once, before quickly returning to reclaim his goods. Thanks for the help. Let it go away for the miller. Out for lunch. They must be back soon. You decide to wait a little bit, looking around the front of the building as you do so. Sometimes what you need in the world is a well-needed break, but growing impatient is normal too. Follow the path. Broken cart, empty sacks, try to dig grass. Ask for the miller. Be honest. Take it and go back. Eggs from the church. Inquire about the line. Explain why you're there. Wait for confession to end. You bide your time waiting for the priest to finish the rite as the line slowly diminishes. Seems as though this will take some time. Go explore the church. As grandiose as the outside of the church felt, the inside supersedes it entirely. Ornate and luxurious, there is gold plating and expensive works of art that hang around the building. The marble interior is something rare for just such a small and quiet town, like cascades through stained glass windows expertly made by artisans. But this is not your interest. There are a few places you can go. The back, where the priest would live, or the kitchen. Maybe you'll find some eggs before you have to talk to anyone. Sneak in. There are plenty of people who can see you, but the door to the presbytery is tucked away to the side of the chancel. You're sure that if you're careful, you can make your way inside with little notice. Looking over the shoulder, you watch the line and the villagers in deep conversation. Now! You slip past the door and carefully close it behind you. You've snuck into the priest's living area. Let's go to the kitchen. The kitchen is a small room, which does not seem to be very well used. It reminds you of your new home, the one you've just made here. It reminds you of your last home before you left, and how lonely it could be to cook for one. You see both eggs sitting on the counter. Take the eggs. Take the eggs and look down at the bowl. Plenty of eggs, enough for a couple of cakes should you make a mistake. How fortuitous. Continue looking. Go. The priest's room itself is just as elaborate outside. Tapestries and finely crafted furniture made of varnished wood decorate the room. In the room there is a bed with blankets made of fur, a heavy wooden wardrobe, a bookcase with thick leather-bound tomes, and a small basin for the sink. Let's check out the library. The bookcase is big, spanning from floor to ceiling and filled with books of varying colors and thickness, Bibles from all over the world, philosophical tomes, fables, and fairy tales. All of them have the title except for a worn-down black book with the title rubbed off. Check the black book. You lift the black book out of the shelf and it is incredibly heavy. You struggle to hold it with two hands to a nearby table and open the cover. What comes with it is about half the pages, which have been glued together and hollowed to create a secret compartment. Inside there is a small satchel and papers. Flip through the papers. You unfold the papers which have been so pristinely hidden behind the satchel. placed flush to the back of the compartment to hide that they even exist. Their slight discoloring from the rest of the book gives it away. As you unfurl it, you find a ledger. Inside is an incredibly detailed list of secrets and rumors with monetary values placed with them. A blackmail list. Check out the small satchel. The small satchel opens with the pull of a string, and inside glimmers gold. Golden coins and small expensive trinkets like rings and jewelry. Where'd it all come from? Oh. Once you take everything out of the compartment, it is now possible to see what this book originally was. Reading the text, you find Bible passages, a holy book. What priest would defile a holy book for this? Deeper still, hidden amongst the traditional words of gods, you find a word you've never seen before, in letters you do not recognize, angular and full of sharp edges, much like the cross that adorned the steeple. For a moment, your fingers brush over the letters. You hear the sound of something deep, an ancient groan as though the earth itself shifted beneath you. It's best to put the book down. Check out the wardrobe. Tries to close. You open the door of the other wardrobes and find not caskets or priest wear, but a mix of clothing, each more intricately designed than the last. Men's pants, women's blouses, petticoats, pantaloons, a mix of the best of each gender. Try on some clothes. A mix of both. You slide on the outfit and look yourself in the mirror. A beautiful skirt with plenty of ruffles, a finely embroidered jacket, heels that lift you a few inches off the ground, and cufflinks that sparkle like rare gems. Feels nice. Catch your reflection in the mirror and admire it a bit before time runs out. This is not a look that can stay. You had to know that. Playing dress up is always fun, though. When you're done playing with the clothes, you put everything back as you found it. But you cannot but wonder how a priest wears such elaborate and flying clothing. Check out the bed. You make your way to the bed and run a handle on the soft furs. How comfortable. How luxurious. Look around. No one knows, right? You're here alone. Launching yourself forward, you land with your stomach on the bed, letting the soft mattress and pillows cushion you, imprinting your shape for the brief moment that you lay there. Sit down, use the facilities, and flush. Nice. Butter. Make your way back to the bakery. Having found other ingredients with relative ease, butter proved to be a problem. The bakery itself was a rather simple building of stonework and wood, but the real charm was how far you could smell the bakery from. Sweet breads and yeasty loaves, warm and fresh from the oven, waft down the roads leading you towards Benoit's shop. Lounging on the front step of the shop, an orange tabby lounges comfortably in the sun. It looks so happy, its eyes squinted shut and mouth open in the warmth of the cement step. It doesn't have a collar, but there's a bowl of water by the front stoop. You have some time. Bending down, you sit next to the cat and pet it a little. The warm fur feels comforting against your hand. As you continue to pet the cat, it starts to purr, the soft buzzing reflecting on the surface level as you feel the cat shiver happily under your fingers. Give the cat a name. What is the cat's name? Crystal. What do you think of Crystal? The cat meows, advancing your question. Well, that had to be that then. Breaking into a big smile, you slip a finger under the chin for a few scritches before getting up. You have a cake to make, and you can visit Crystal again soon. You enter the bakery, full of warmth and the scent of bread and sweets. To one side there's breads, baguettes standing tall, loaves piled up, dinner rolls tossed together in a bag. Another corner features meat pies, an affordable quick meal. Closer to the counter are cookies, easy and quick buys that hopefully tempt customers. Along the other wall, and closer to the front, features cakes, more decorative than edible, testament to Benoit's talent and hard work. Slipping into the back, there sits a tray of fresh madeleines, cooling on a rack. A light waft of vanilla and lemon has dominated the kitchen. They look absolutely delicious. Take a madeleine. Madeleine is fresh, hot to the touch. You pick it up, tossing it around between your hands, the slight crisp to the edge snapping as you break off a piece and toss it in your mouth. Slightly dense, but perfectly fluffy with a hint of lemon and vanilla. They're perfect. Do you often pilfer from your place of employment? Spinning around, you stand face to face with Benoit, your employer, a man of broad stature and imposing demeanor. He looks stern and strong, with arms built for kneading bread and lifting dough. When he smiles, though, his face softens, like a perfectly risen dough. You find everything okay? That's where you can get butter. Actually, my apologies, but I cannot find any butter while I was out. Benoit nods and looks over the list, checking the ingredients. He quietly puts the recipe back where it belongs and moves about the kitchen with a deftness that only the owner of a space can have, confident and effortless in his search. Benoit pulls out the milk jug you delivered earlier and a butter churn. It's a bit last minute, but I guess we'll have to make do with some homemade butter. Do you know how to make butter? Yes. Benoit nods and leaves the churn for you there. Since you have this handled, I'm going to step out and do deliveries. That'll be your first task after the festival, but for now I'll take it on. If you have any trouble, leave it for when I get back. You nod in return. The baker seems to be a very reasonable man. You help him load up his pushcart and off before getting back to the task at hand, making butter. Make the butter. Pour some of the milk in the churn and begin to do the motion, up and down, till your arm starts to ache. A minute turns into 2, which turns into 5, and even then the butter is not formed. Eventually, after over 10 minutes, you feel a ball of butter form inside the churn. Collecting it, you put it in a bowl for when it's time to make the cake. Explore the bakery. You have the bakery to yourself for a moment. With Benoit gone, it might be a good idea to get attached to your new environment. The kitchen itself is not large. A wooden work table with flowers still spread all over sits in the center of the room, surrounded by counters. To the side, there's a wood fire oven that crackles with life. Across the room from it sits a contraption you don't recognize, a large wooden cabinet that seems bulky, something you'd have to check out. Sitting next to it on the counter, a smaller wooden box, worn more heavily than anything else in the room, with small, intricate painted designs covering it. There's a door leading to the front area, one out the back, and a final door which you can only assume leads to some sort of pantry that would store ingredients. The meat grinder. The grinder is an intimidating machine you are not familiar with. The bakeries you were used to didn't serve meat. In fact, they only served baked goods, without inclusions of any sort. Bread mostly, maybe a cake or cookie here and there. The heavy metal machine has a large crank and a spout where ground up meat comes out of. Look at the spout. You look at the spout where the meat comes out. It's impeccably clean. Benoit must be very thorough in his efforts. What you do see is a small fiber hanging off the spout tucked away in the corner. A small orange hair. Take the hair. The hair is short, but not a few inches long. It looks thicker than regular hair, almost like fur. Slight ginger in color. And you remember the tabby out front. Oh. You pull out a rubbish bin and throw the hair inside. At the bottom of the trash there seems to be collars, and plenty of them. Hidden at the bottom of the trash. Burlap ingredient sacks sitting on top as if they were tucked on there on purpose. The collars come in different material and quality. Some are simply pieces of fabric with names on them, while others are finely crafted works of leather that come from artisans. Achum, Miette, Figaro, Petapouf, Bizou. The names are not ones you'd give to children, but more like cats. Maybe Benoit owned cats. He didn't seem like the type, but many in his town were not like what they seemed to be. Bulky cabinet. Opening the bulky cabinet lets loose a wave of cold air. Heavily lined with metal, the cabinet seems to be a place to keep ingredients, cool as milk, butter, and eggs find their places amongst the shelves. What a fascinating device. Excuse me. The decorated box on the counter stands out amongst the workplace because it reminds you of home. It reminds you of your kitchen, where you grew up eating good food, which you in turn wanted to make one day. And here would be the secrets to Benoit's business, all of his recipes, anything you could ever learn from him. You start to look through many of the recipes. Baguettes, croissants, tarts, cakes, pies. Which would you like to go first? Let's check out the miraculous meat pies, because you know. Ingredients: 500 grams of beef. See note. Okay, salt, butter, cider, nutmeg, cinnamon, raisins, currants. Brown the meat over high heat. Add salt. Find alternatives below. Achum a little thin and sickly. Received complaints of odd taste. Yet too much hair. Had trouble skinning. Figaro too fatty. Taken from the merchant's truck. Fed too well. Find a better balance. Patapoof too young. Good meat but doesn't yield enough. Crystal. Weight seems promising. Cannot account for taste but gives good access to cat and able to track its growth. Well, good thing we don't think anything of that. Dry yeast, water. Classic cookies. These all seem like they're going to be normal. Oh, the oven. The oven is a simple device, but it's cold. You know that it won't be hard to start, though. And if you wanted to, you could probably start kindling the fire so that when it's time to make a cake, you're ready. Start the oven. It isn't hard to start the oven. You toss a couple of logs into the hearth and ignite them, kindling a fire that starts to warm the entire kitchen. Pantry is a small room, barely even room for a person, just enough to store excess ingredients, and even then it wouldn't be hard to make it overflow. What stands out, though, is the overwhelming sound of fish coming from the small room. Hit like a wall. When you open the door, concerning for dry ingredients. Find the source. Tucked away in the back of the pantry, dig out dried fish. Dried fish? Why would Benoit need dried fish? No less to leave it in the pantry. Meow. The sound from behind you. Turn around and you see the cat from the stoop standing behind you. Eyes trained on your hand. What are you doing here? Give the cat the fish. You bend down and give the cat the fish. The cat snatches the food out of your hand and just as quickly is out the back door once more. Back on the stoop enjoying his snack. Oh. Ended up in a loop. Better take the Madeline so we can do that. We know. Make the butter. Make the cake. You spend time and great care under the ever-watchful eye of your mentor Benoit to make a cake. It's a simple cake. You have not been trained to do more, but it fills the bakery with a sense of comfort and joy that even Benoit cannot hide his smile. As you finish decorating, a hand claps down on your shoulder. You've done well, but the biggest part's to come. The delivery. Your first delivery as a baker. Congratulations. Take the cake to the festival. The Saving Day Festival is a celebration. The entire village has come, including all the familiar faces you met over the past 24 hours. Jean and her daughter Elizabeth Louise talk with Father Hyacinth, who smiles still and settles you. Mathilde Pascal chat in a corner, their watchful eyes trained on you. Benoit pushes you forward slightly. Go place the cake on the table, and the festivities will get started. Put your cake on the table. As you bring your cake to a table full of offerings in different shapes and sizes, eggs, flowers, leather-bound books, a beautiful intricate work of hand embroidery, stacks of flour and more, everyone in town has left something. Father Hyacinth breaks from their group and takes center stage at the offering, speaking loudly. Thank you all for coming today to the annual Saving Day Festival. There is small applause around them. We particularly thank you, Michael, for joining us this year. In honor of this, we would like to present you with a gift, which is honors selecting this year's reign. Ooh. A group surrounds you. The familiar faces surround you. The ones that stand out being those you have met, the familiar, the miller, the farmer, the miller, the priest, your mentor, your neighbor, and the rest of the village gather around you, their eyes burrowing into your very being. Ooh, we can choose ourselves. Gotta do that. You look at everyone around you and pick yourself. You know your life best, and you want to fully experience this town for everything it has to offer. Everyone around you begins to whisper, the surprise of your choice setting the town abuzz. Father Hyacinth's brow raised as they pause, nodding slowly. I see. Well then, if you'd be so kind as to take a seat. You make your way forward and sit down. Over the table you can see the river, which slowly starts to change from the clear bluish-green hues of liquid to a sickly viscous ichor. A hand of crackled, wrinkled skin with long nails grips the ground as something pulls itself from the water. Seemingly unending, this creature continues to grow from the river until it manages to cover the entire sky over the town. A rough hand grasps against you as you pulled from the table and lifted high into the sky. Face to face with this creature of many eyes and multiple sets of teeth, you understand. You see now what it means to be rain, why it is called the Saving Day Festival. Before you can cry for help, you are enveloped by whatever this is. You never manage to get its name, and for all you know, the town continues without you, just as it did before. Hey, ending 7 of 8. We made one cake. Okay. We'll do one more quick one. So that knock on the front door, so that Elizabeth Louise can be the rain as she asked. Go back to the list. Milk and eggs. Call out. Explain your circumstance. Shake his hand. Ask for milk and eggs. Wait there. Wait at the doorstep. Take the milk. Return to the bakery. Flour. Check on the cart. Offer to help. Follow his instructions. Ask for the miller. Be honest. Take it and go back. Eggs from the church. Explore the church. Sneak into the back. Go to the kitchen. Take the eggs. Take the eggs and go back. Butter. Ignore the cat. Go find Benoit. Don't take the Madeline. Those are for customers. As delicious as they smell, you cannot just steal product from your work. You look them over one more time and turn around to find Benoit leaning against the door frame watching you. He is a man of broad stature and imposing demeanor. He looks stern and strong, with arms built from kneading bread and lifting dough. Ask where I get butter. Do I know how to make butter? Yes. Make the butter. Make the cake. Take the cake to the festival. Put your cake on the table. We will say... Oh, she's not an option. Oh. I wonder if it can only be people we met. Mamma mia, that's a spicy meatball. It's true. Well, in that case, let's, you know what? Our nice mentor, Benoit. You look to your mentor and he nods sagely with understanding. He slowly takes his seat and neatly cuts a portion of the cake, eating as though he has no care in the world. Benoit has resigned to his fate. The group begins to rumble, splitting and cracking open beneath him. The ground begins to rumble. The river flows backwards, changing color as something trudges out of it, gnarly black hands clawing at the ground as it hoists itself out of the water. It's inconceivable how this thing keeps pulling itself from the river without end. Hideous and wrinkled in skin with a plethora of eyes and a maw that sports multiple sets of teeth. Without ever fully leaving the river, it raises up, covering the sky with its dark body until there is no light left, and grips Benoit. In his last moments, he turns to you. How delicious. What a fine apprentice you made, Michael. Benoit, with all of the offerings, disappear within moments, as does the creature. The light returns, and so does the conversation. Everyone goes on with their life, as if you had not seen this just occur. The looming shadow of Father Hyacinth appears behind you as they place their hands on your shoulders. Come along now, Michael. You've done well. Let us prepare for next year's celebrations. Nice. So, I think that's where I'm going to stop this game for now. If you would like to play the game, I have the link here. See what endings you get. Let's get the credits. So, art done by Mel, as always. Get them here. So first of all, dev and artist. Well, That was a fun little game. I hope everyone enjoyed it. I'm going to be right back, and then we will continue with Night in the Woods.